Hello, I'm Stephen Coates and welcome to my studio here in Sheffield. As many of you know, I have posted quite a few videos on YouTube and most of these are quite long with lots of information about the whole painting process. Most people want to sit down and create a whole painting but often forget that practicing and doodling can have a dramatic effect on skill level. So I wanted to show you a few exciting exercises you can do with watercolour paint that only take a few minutes. So I hope you will enjoy having a go at some of my quick-fire doodling sessions. Today we're going to look at sketching and drawing human figures and putting a little bit of paint on. This is kind of a doodle exercise really, but whenever we do human figures, it's usually best to think of a starting shape, and it's often said that people are nothing more than a carrot shape like this, which is absolutely true. You need to just make sure that the width of it is about a third of the height, and then we leave a little space and then a little circle there which is about a third of the width of the shoulders. That's about the right proportion. So once I'm just using a soft pencil here by the way, just to get this initial sketch in. So the waist is approximately halfway up the body here, and then we can just put a split in the bottom half of the carrot to produce what looks like the hem of a coat, and you can see already that's very human-like. A couple of little lines out to the side there, maybe to produce arms. And once we start working with these sort of fundamental carrot shapes or parsnip shapes like this, we can maybe have that hem of that coat a little bit longer, and we can start experimenting a little bit with a little bit more detail. And it's great to use one of these pens. This is a Unipin pen. This is a 0.5, it's pretty much in the middle of the range of sizes that they do. And it just requires a little bit of practice, and we start sort of scribbling. Let's have this arm extended down to the side, maybe just carrying a bag. That's just a sort of an oblong shape there really. We'll have a little collar on the coat, and then as we bring the legs down like this, we don't even need to have any feet on there. That's a perfectly good human figure. And put a little bit of shading in there. We'll put a little bit of shading on the inside of that arm there, and maybe just cross hatch a few creases and the coat, and then we can put a little bit of shading on the legs underneath the hem of the coat like this, which just makes it look a little bit more three-dimensional. Incidentally, when we do draw human figures like this in a picture, it's very often people try and make people look like they're walking by putting kinks or bends in the knee or in the leg. It's absolutely not necessary at all. There's my carrot shape again. Let me just get the pen here again. So this time we'll just have the arms, almost looks like they're walking, this person's walking along with the hands in the pockets. I'm just going to draw that leg in there first, and I'm going to end it with just sort of a bit of a lump of ink at the bottom. That's just the back of the shoe that you can see there. Now this one, I'm not bending it, but I'm just going to leave it short. I'm just going to leave it short of that foot there, and that looks like the person is taking a step. And quite honestly, that is all that is required in order to achieve this effect that somebody is walking. Now I'm just going to draw a couple on here now, so let's just have two more carrots, and I'm just going to have one slightly shorter than the other, just overlapping slightly. This one's their arm in arm, so I'll just put that arm there. We'll have the lady carrying a handbag, longish coat, have the guy in a shorter jacket, but it's raining. So these two are walking along with an umbrella. So I'm just going to draw an umbrella shape across the top there. Umbrellas are not like they are in the cocktail glasses. They just they're little bit flat on top like that. And we'll have the umbrella like this. There they are. And in a little while, I'm just going to do a very quick fire painting of a couple walking in the rain with some reflections. So again, I can apply the pen. This is a very sort of quick, sort of almost scruffy process. I'm not really doing any sort of smooth lines. They're all quite scribbly. And I think this really helps with the whole process, just learning how to sketch quickly and doodle. So I want to make it look like they're both walking. So this one will just have that leg slightly shorter than the other. There she is, and the same with the guy. And we'll just bring the legs down there. That one at the end, just like I did before, leaving that a little bit short. A little bit of shading under here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of shading under there, because that umbrella might just stop the light getting in under there. You can see I've given her a sort of ponytail. And then what we do before we actually apply paint to these, we get an eraser and we quickly erase all of the pencil. We'll do it on that one as well so you can see. And you can then see any lines that you've missed. There we go, shade his head in. And the paint is then applied to the ink impression that remains. And again, just going back to the pen, it's very important to use a pen here that doesn't have any runoff. This is a 100% waterproof pen. A lot of them are not, so you have to make sure you test them before you go any further. Okay, as you can see, I've just produced this little sketch of our couple walking here on a pavement. I've just used a vanishing point just to create these perspective lines for the pavement, popped on a lamppost and sketched in a few tree branches here. And I'm going to whip the paint on this really quickly. So I'm just going to use one of my mini hake brushes for the wash, and I'm going to use a foliator brush to create some foliage on this tree here. And then I've got my number 6 spearhead brush, which I'm just going to use to put some colour onto the figures afterwards. So I want to make it look like it's raining. So I'm literally, and I'm going to do this as a vignette as well, so I'm not concerned about getting paint all the way to the edge of the painting. So if I just whip some water all the way across the whole of my little sketch, like this, so I've got 2 or 3 brush loads of water, and just whipping that across there to get that wet. And on the palette here, I've got a little bit of raw sienna, which I'm just going to pick up with the brush. There it is. And here I've got quite a strong mix of ultramarine and light red, which gives me a really lovely sort of plum colour. And I want a bit of a glow all the way through this central area of the picture. So if I get plenty of raw sienna into there, and then very quickly I'm going to pick up some of the plum colour. I've not washed the brush. I've literally just gone straight from the raw sienna to the plum, and I can just whip some of that plum into there, and I'm hopeful that that will sort of develop and granulate and flow a little down. So I've got this lovely glow here where my figures are walking. Now I also want a reflection of this shrub. Now then, I'm just going to use the mini hake brush that I've already used, and I'm just going to pull down a little bit of the plum colour there underneath where the shrub is going to be. And it's interesting because I didn't get any water here on the paper, so I've got a hard edge there. But none of that matters, because this is a doodle. It's a little practice exercise that are great fun to do. You don't have to be under any pressure to do it properly. And as I said in my introduction, it's great for skill building. So this is the foliator brush, and I've literally just picked up some of the plum colour off the palette. and I'm just bobbing that brush up and down gently. As you can see, it's giving me a nice sort of foliage effect. I'm going to leave a few gaps in it as well, just to let a little bit of light through. Maybe intensify it a little bit lower down and bring that all the way across to there. There we go. And I've put that on whilst the initial wash is still wet, so it starts to soften a little. It gives me a lovely blurry effect and helps to sell the impression that it's raining. Let's just bring that down a little further there, just so that it looks like foliage is coming right down to the ground. That'll do nicely there. Now all I need to do is let that dry, and then I can just finish this off with a little bit of paint and a few reflections. Okay, that's dry. I'm just going to use a number 6 brush here to, it's wet, I've just put some water in that. I'm just going to scrub away the inside of the lamp, and just use a bit of kitchen towel and take that off so that it just takes the paint away, and that looks like the light is glowing. I'll put a little bit of paint on the lower part of that lamppost so it stands out a little bit more. We'll deal with the reflections in a bit. So what colour are we wearing today? I've got some burnt sienna here, and literally with any line and wash painting you can choose your colour and just run it in. So we'll give a lady a burnt sienna coat. I've got some burnt umber here, so we'll give the guy a sort of brown jacket. It doesn't matter if we miss out a little bit, leave the odd white mark in there. We're going to have a red umbrella. So, no we're not, I haven't got any red on the palette. Okay, we'll have a burnt sienna umbrella. We'll do the umbrella the same colour as the lady. There we go. And then I'm just going to do these legs on both of these couples with some of this same sort of plum mix colour that I used for the sky. So we can put some dark colour into the legs. And then all we need to do now is just do some reflections. And interestingly, when you study reflections, you'll find that they come down quite vertically like this. So we'll do that leg and that leg. That foot's just slightly off the ground, so there'll be a little gap there. And then I'm just going to, oops, board slipped. I'm just going to do a little, bring them together and do a little squiggle and just fade that towards the bottom like that. We'll do exactly the same with the lady. A couple, there's the two legs come together, quite solid immediately, and then it starts to wobble and break further down. And I need to do exactly the same with the lamppost now. And the lamppost is actually leaning slightly in, which I've done deliberately. So I'll do a reflection of that part of the lamppost and then just revert back to the pen with a little squiggle of the pen there to finish that off. A couple of birds maybe still flying around in the wet weather. There we go. So there we have a complete, very quick line and wash study. It's a doodle. I wasn't concerned about where the paint was going, but it's a fabulous little study to do. They only take a few minutes, as you've seen, and it's a great skill set builder. So I hope you have a go at doing something like this.